Hey, everybody. I'm Kaylin Kaler, senior NFL writer with The Athletic, and welcome to QB2. This is a show where we interview my favorite players in football, the backup quarterbacks. I love to talk to them because they have the best stories in the game and they are underrepresented in interviews and press conferences around the NFL. Today's guest is a real miracle worker. He had one college offer and he turned that into an 11-year and counting NFL career, including one very important playoff win and a career defining play. He went undrafted out of the University of Houston in 2012 and then signed with the Texans and became a starter halfway through his second season in the league. He's probably best known as the architect of the 61-yard touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs, the Minneapolis Miracle, his first playoff appearance, and his first playoff win. He's now in his 11th season in the NFL and his first at the Buffalo Bills. Welcome to QB2, Case Keenum.
Appreciate it. Quite an introduction there. Thank you, Kayla. Appreciate that.
I know. It's really fun when I have you guys on to just kind of go through your whole careers and be like, oh my gosh, so much has happened here. Like, how do I put this into 4 or 5 sentences and like get to the essence of who you are? And I feel like maybe we did that right there. I don't know. You can tell me. Was that a fair summary? Is anything missing?
I don't know. If you're on my Wikipedia page, you need to go ask my sister. She always changes it on me and like puts embarrassing facts on there. So it may or may not be true. I don't know.
Is she the manager? Is she the official manager of the Case Keenum Wikipedia?
Oh, well, she has not been appointed. She's self-appointed. She likes to go in there and do that sort of stuff.
That's awesome. That's great to have a family member take on that responsibility for you. The question I want to start with for you, as I kind of mentioned in that intro, you are known for this one amazing play. What is it like to be known for one thing like that? How often are people approaching you in public knowing it's Case Keenum, it's the miracle play? Like, how often does that happen to you?
It depends, on the anniversary of it or if some other big play happens in the playoffs or kind of a walk-off type touchdown that people might mention something. I'm actually playing on the same team now with Stephon Diggs, who's the other half of that. And actually, he probably did more work than I did. I threw it, gave him a chance, and he made a heck of a play, made a couple guys miss, and thankfully did not run out of bounds like we were all yelling at him to do. Instead, went ahead and scored a touchdown, and we ended the game like that. So pretty incredible moment. It was a blast. It's nice to still have a few moments ahead of me though. So we'll see what else is in store.
So a question I like to ask all the guys who come on the show is, how would you summarize your career and your role if you had to pick a word? Because there are so many words that we use, I mean journalists, to describe backup quarterbacks, some of which are not the nicest terms. So I want to give you a chance right now to, identify with whatever word you want to identify with for your career.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's changed. It's evolving. I remember my wife and I both, like year 5 or 6, people started using the word journeyman, and we'd been on 2 teams, I think, at that point. Moved once or twice, maybe 3 times, but we're like, we're not journeymen. And then 5 years later, when my wife's speed dial consists of the moving company, the car relocation, all these different people to help us as we have moved from Houston to St. Louis to LA to Minnesota, Denver, Washington, Cleveland, now Buffalo. I would say it probably fits a little bit,
Yeah.
And I don't think of it as a negative thing. Like you said at the beginning, this is started my, career with one college offer, and, I'm sitting here in year 11, and, we got a pretty stinking good football team, and it's fun to be a part of. And I love playing football. I love playing quarterback. I love the camaraderie of a team, the camaraderie of a QB room, the mesh that happens there. And I can say that I'm in the best quarterback room I've ever been in. I normally don't rank them like that. I normally say one of the best, but this is incredible. Yeah. Josh is awesome. Matt is awesome. We got some great things going. and I'm getting off your question of the one word, but
That's okay.
um, it's been a journey, so I guess you could say journeyman. I wasn't planning on adopting that one when you ask, but um, it's been a heck of a ride, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay. So I have so many follow ups based off of that answer. So I am actually really surprised that you did rank a quarterback room because normally I've asked that question to people before and they'll just be like, oh, well, this one was fun. This one was good. So what specifically makes this Buffalo room the best? And I want to, for our viewers who aren't familiar with who's in the room, obviously it's Josh Allen. Then you
Hmm.
have you as the backup. And then we have Matt Barkley, another
Yep.
very experienced veteran. I think he's just 1 year younger than you on the practice squad. So, why is it the best? Is it the way that it's structured? Is it the roles that you guys are filling? What is different about this room?
It's a lot of things. Um, you know, Josh being one, he's talented. Uh, he's so talented. He's a lot of fun to watch play football. He's a lot of fun to be around. We hang out all the time, off the field, on the field, quarterback dinners, Bible studies at our house here in a few hours. Um, there's something going on. Every off day, the team is extremely close. It's a very very close team here in Buffalo. Coach McDermott has done an extremely good job, great job of implementing a culture that is, it's par none, and it's fun to come in to his. I guess it's year 5 or 6 for him, and
Mm-hmm.
just what he's built in his time here, and to kind of see. I wouldn't call it a finished product, but to kind of see the work that's gone into it, and see this product that's now here and what we've got going on. But it's a blast. Joe Brady, quarterback coach, Ken Dorsey's offensive coordinator. It's just working. It's good. It's good communication. We all love golf. We love Settlers of Catan. I don't know if you know about the board game Settlers
Yeah.
of Catan.
Yeah.
A bunch of nerds basically here trying to pretend to be athletes, but yeah, we're having a blast. That's what makes it the best. Is this? It's just so much fun.
Do you guys play that game like in the facility? Doesn't it take like hours?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we play in the facility. We play on our phones some in the facility, but
Okay.
on road trips on our phones. But whoever's house is we're at,
Yeah.
we all have it. Expansion packs. We're all about it. We're settling whenever we can.
Nice. Did you ever play that before you came to Buffalo?
Uh-huh. Yeah, my wife and
Oh,
I
you did.
played with
Okay.
some friends in St. Louis. We learned. Hadn't played much with. I guess my sister taught me how to play. And then we got here, and they were like, "Do you settle?" And I was like, yeah, let's go." And so we got it going, had a good time, and yeah, the whole team I think settles.
That's amazing. So with Josh in particular, I know different starters have different things that they need from their backups, and it can vary, who you're playing behind. What does Josh, being younger than you and less experienced than you in the NFL, what is that dynamic like? What does he want from you? How do you help him and like support him in your average game week?
Yeah, I guess he is younger. He may actually be more experienced in starts now, and maybe not years, but I think he's
Mm-hmm.
he's getting out of where he's played some ball, and he's playing some really good ball. You know, I mean, he doesn't need much. He's just good natured. Loves the guys. Loves being around the guys. Loves playing football. He's great. I mean, he is as low key and chill, come as they go type of guy. So, we watch film together in meetings and talk about plays during practice and that. But most of the time, it's relaxed. Talking about TV shows or movies or whatever's going on in the world or all sorts of stuff. It's just being good friends.
So he to me seems like kind of like an overgrown child in his personality. And maybe I'm off there, but that's what I've kind of observed of him in his press conferences and what people say about him. And he seems like, as you mentioned, like he jokes around a lot, he brings the fun. And it's interesting to me because typically, if you look at quarterback rooms across the NFL, that is often something that the backup brings as like the person who is doing that lighthearted, keeping it light, keeping it fun in the room when it can get really serious. So with the starter kind of taking that role, what, I don't know if you can take us inside the quarterback room, like what is either the funniest thing he's done or if he's pranked you guys in any way? Are there any kind of stories you can tell about Josh in that sense?
Yeah. I mean, he is a full-on prankster. You have to be on your guard at all times with whatever's going on. You can walk around any corner in the building, and he's ready to jump out at you and scare you. With just the jokes. I mean, I think he's got a new joke every week for us. Officially. I mean, he's got jokes all the time, but it's a good mix. We keep it lighthearted and fun, but we also focus when we need to, and get locked in when we need to. And he does a great job of leading the guys with that. There's a lot of different ways of playing quarterback and a lot of different ways of leading men. And I've really, really enjoyed getting to know Josh and his style of quarterbacking, leadership, just relationally around the building. He's definitely a household superstar, type guy name, but man, you wouldn't know it, the way he interacts with everybody in the building. So I try to bring a few of my jokes here and there. We've got them on a few different things, but it's good give and taking there.
Yeah. So one thing I think is interesting about you guys, you two in particular, and I might be making too much of this, but I think you're 6'1", if I'm right. And Josh, I believe, is 6'5". So that's a 4-inch height difference. And I'm wondering if that impacts any of the ways that you would run plays, or if you ever had to come into a game, what you might do versus what he does. Like, how does a height difference like that affect the dynamic there, if it does at all?
Yeah, I probably won't be jumping over anybody anytime soon. He's been known to do that,
Yeah.
and scramble around and run. I have done my best to persuade him to slide a little bit more, which I
Mm-hmm.
think would be beneficial to us all. He runs and plays with his hair on fire, so that he's going to be him no matter what. But yeah, so there are some physical differences there when it comes to that, but I'm fully confident and I can come in and run the offense whenever I need to.
So are you trying to be kind of like the voice of reason for him, of like, hey, it's really cool when you do this, but like, don't get hurt. So you need to slide. What are those conversations like between you two?
Yeah, I might have incentivized him a little bit if
Oh,
if he would slide during a game, and he did, and so it was good. It was not a
what was
monetarily
okay?
incentivized thing. It was more something that I would do, and I I'm a man of my word. I did it.
What can you say what it was, or at least give us a hint?
Allegedly, I may or may not have told him I would wear only a jockstrap to one of our walkthroughs if he
Oh my
slid in a
God.
game feet first with nobody around him.
And he did it. What game was that?
Yeah, you can go watch the film and see if he
Yeah.
did it.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and see which game. Oh my God. And how did that go? Did the whole team know that you had incentivized him in that way, or was it a surprise to everyone when you uh, showed up wearing a jock strap to a walkthrough?
They found out.
That is a great detail. Wow, we're gonna break the internet with that one when this airs. Just don't worry. That's amazing. I don't even have a follow up. I don't even know where to go from there. So
Yeah, we can
um,
change the subject.
I'm gonna go to a general question that I really want to ask you guys, because I think a lot of us don't realize when you're a backup or when you're anywhere, not the QB1, further down on the QB depth chart, you really don't get any reps. How do you steal or sneak or work around what you get in practice to make sure you're prepared in any given week?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kaylee. That's one of the harder things about being in the NFL and being the backup is there just aren't enough reps to go around. I mean, we don't run all the plays on our game plan, in a normal practice week as the starter. So
Right.
there's plays we run in the game that are the first time you're ever running them, game plan type stuff. So for me, it's a lot of visualization. I try to stand behind, the quarterback as close as I can safely and see the field as close as I can to what he's seeing and the
Mhm.
way Diggs might come out of a break or the way Dawson or Gabe run a route this way or so I can, feel that that communication that happens between a receiver and a quarterback visually. That type of communication I think is key in any offense, especially in this one. So trying to get that as much as I can, and then on top of that, visualization and film watching as much as I can.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Standing behind makes a lot of sense. I want to ask you something that you said earlier, where your wife, she's got the moving company, she's got everything, relocation specialist on speed dial. What has been the most chaotic move or situation in your career where things changed like that?
Yeah, I think it was probably my third. I think it was my third year when I was on the St. Louis Rams practice
Hmm.
squad, and it was the last two games of the season. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, back with the Texans, had gotten hurt because I started the year with the Texans on their squad.
Yep.
Got cut in training camp. They had traded for Ryan Mallett. Tom Savage was there, and all three of those guys had wound up being hurt. And I literally get a call on a Sunday night, Monday morning, and wound up starting a game because we were in St. Louis. I was on the team there. I was on the practice squad. Get a call from the Texans on Monday, and I start a game for them that Sunday against Baltimore, and then the next week
So
against
wild.
Jacksonville. So I basically was like, "Babe, Texans call. I'm going to start against Baltimore this week. See you later." And so I left. She basically packed up the whole apartment, shifted back to Houston because that's where we had started the year, had a house there, and still had our lease there. And so that was probably one of the crazier times because I had literally no time to help her do anything. I was trying to get ready to beat Baltimore, and she's a logistical ninja.
And how do you, when you arrive in Houston, you had been there previously, but I believe it was a new coaching staff when you come back. How do you, in 5 days' time, know enough to be ready to start a game?
It was tough. I mean, I'd spent training camp there, so I knew kind of the base of the offense. But I mean, it's you do the best you can. You do everything you can one day. You try to get some rest that night and wake up the next morning and do it all again. And then you're confident in your abilities and the training and the mechanics and the years of quarterbacking that you'd worked your craft, but trying to apply it as best you can. And the coaches did a great job of putting together a game plan that week that fit me. And luckily Andre Johnson was being his usual self that Sunday and doing some pretty cool things. Arian Foster, I think helped. He threw a touchdown that day too. So
Oh,
we had a
wow.
lot of things going our
Yeah.
way, and a few trick plays and things went our way, and it was fun.
Um, I want to ask you, since you've been in a lot of situations where you have either, been promoted or demoted, what has been, the strangest or weirdest handled benching or promotion that you've been a part of? And is there a way to do it properly, or is it just always going to be weird?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if weird is the best term for it. It's
Yeah.
hard. There's only one quarterback that plays at a time.
Hmm.
I'd say generally, for the most part, and that's it's hard. It's a tough position. I think it's the hardest position of any sport, in the world. I think that there's not another position that relies more on their teammates for their success, and there's not another team sport that relies as much on that one position, and that's quarterback. And there's a lot of ways of doing it, and there's a lot of people out there that judge, and there's different ways that people grade or critique quarterbacks. So I'd say one of the, I guess, an interesting way was when I was with St. Louis with the Rams, and then again in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Coach Fisher had benched Nick Foles in the meeting room. Here's my little buddy. What's up, man? We're getting a little guest appearance here.
Hey,
By my
what's your
little dude,
name?
Kyler. Can you wave?
Hi, Kyler.
What's your name? Kyler.
Hi,
How old are
nice
you,
to
buddy?
meet you.
2.
You're 2. You're about to be 3, aren't you?
That's big.
Yeah. What do you
That's
got? What are
pretty
you
old.
holding right here, buddy?
A football.
A football. That's right.
Nice.
You're ready to throw it.
This is
You
a
wanna-
plant. This was a plant for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I love you, buddy. I'm talking football a little bit. Can you go play, and then we'll play football here in a minute?
He's mesmerized
in
by
a
the
minute,
camera.
We'll go throw in a little bit, buddy. It's pretty outside. We'll go outside.
I love it.
Going back to that question with
Yeah.
Coach Fisher, I remember being in the same room when he came in and told me I was starting,
Yeah.
and then again the next year when Jared Goff was going to replace me, he came in and told us like the exact same way. And it was almost kind of a deja vu, but I was in the other seat on the same team. We were in St. Louis one year, LA the next, but it was kind of strange the way he came in and said, well, we're going to go with Case. And then, all right, well, we're going to go with Jared. Like,
And who's in the room when he does that? Like, is it just you two, or is it the whole team, or the whole offense, or quarterback
no, it was
coach?
just quarterbacks.
Okay. Nice. That's so funny. So he just really was just straightforward. Like, this is it. Moving on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's a business, right?
It is.
I want to ask you, I'm going to kind of like lump 2 situations in your career together to ask you this question. So I read your book actually for research this weekend. It was a nice read. Good work with that.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
And you
Did you get to the last chapter?
Yeah, I read the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, it's Kimberly's chapter is why it's the best
Yeah.
chapter in there. So
She wrote it. I was like, that's awesome that she got to be a part of it. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Bill O'Brien, when he was hired in Houston, he told you, you'll never be more than a 3rd string quarterback. And obviously you did end up being more than that, even for his own team. And then when you're in Minnesota, Coach Zimmer famously did not name you as a starter that year until I think maybe the postseason he finally did, but he took a long time to do that. And, he has a history of kind of criticizing quarterbacks in public. And so I guess what I'm asking is, how do you navigate a coaching staff that may be unenthusiastic towards you in your role? Does it affect you, or do you just blinders push forward? Like, how does that affect you?
I think it affects you. It's impossible for it to not. The O'Brien, the quote you said there was that I would never be more. I don't know if that was the exact quote. That was just kind of his evaluation of me, that I'm a 3rd string quarterback. I don't know if he actually said never be more than. But yeah, so it's tough to hear that. But either way, it's tough to hear that. It's tough. You get a lot of defensive head coaches, sometimes NFL, and their experience with their players that they're used to coaching. It's different sometimes, than that relationship with a quarterback. And Coach Zimmer was one of those that, that's kind of who he is and how he treated that situation. And that's, him being the head coach, he was, that's his right to do however he wanted. If he wasn't going to announce the starter officially moving forward, he was going to wait till that week. I showed up on Monday and just, kind of tuned everything out. It was a good practice for me, actually. Like, in every season, whatever team you're on, there's going to be some sort, I call it like this buzz of just externals, these things that are going on outside of the building, outside of the team. And, the things that, great journalists might be saying, all these things that, that honestly, like they don't matter for the team. You know, they don't matter for that 53 guys and the coaching staff or whatever your team is. And the best teams I've been on, the best players that I know, the best, I've ever played is when I literally just ignore those things or learn to focus my attention on other things that aren't, you know, that do matter. Focus on the things that do matter and being able to just let all the things that don't matter just kind of slide off your back.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of those lessons I've had to learn throughout my career. Part of what's in the book. And yeah, it was actually kind of fun. It was like your introduction to me. Like the book was fun to go back through all my years of playing and just different lessons I've learned and kind of relearn them
Yeah.
as as you're talking about them with friends and family.
So, a fun fact about you that I learned in researching for this, which I need to still figure out a way to like really verify this, but you've been traded 3 times in your career, and I believe that is the most for a quarterback ever. Although
Oh
I
wow.
only have the data since like 1994. So if somebody before 94 was traded 3 times,
Hmm.
it's possible that it's not you, but you are at the top for sure. We can say you're one of the most traded
Cool.
quarterbacks.
I've always
Yeah.
said so when I got traded this past year, because I was undrafted as a
Right.
coming out
Right.
of college,
Now you're
and I've
worth
been
how many
traded.
7th round picks? Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, I'm worth a fifth and 2/7 and a 6.5. So yeah, that's my draft now. I've been drafted.
That's so good. You definitely increased your value. That is for sure. I was going to ask you, in being traded that many times, uh, I don't know if you ever have a say over where you go or if you're ever included in the conversations or if you're ever even given a heads up. But in any of those 3 situations, like, did you get to approve? I don't know, or get consulted? How does that work?
Earlier in my career, I did not. Um, and then later, as you're vested, and you're at the point where it's either a team's going to go another direction, and this is your options. Most of the time being traded is a good thing. I've always said being traded means a team wants you.
Yeah.
It's more than about, you don't look at the team that's getting rid of you. Don't focus on that. You're focusing on a team that really
Yeah.
wants you enough to give something up to get you. So that's kind of how I viewed those.
Yeah. So with Buffalo, did you get to pick them in any way? Because it seems like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
landed
we
in a
picked
really
each
good
other.
spot.
We picked
You
each
did?
other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What went into that? Did you just look at the roster and be like, this team is going to, I mean, this team already was awesome and I want to go to an awesome team? Or what was the thought process?
I think it was more like just the place in the country and the weather kind of later in the season, like December, January. We love blistering cold and wind and snow. So
At first, I thought you were actually serious at the beginning of that answer, and then I was
so
like, "Oh no, he's totally
it's
messing
actually
with me
gorgeous
here."
right now. If you can see some trees out
Oh
there.
yeah, nice. Very
Yeah,
good.
we're
Fall
getting
colors
the
coming
leaves
in.
changing. Yeah,
Yes,
so it's really pretty right now.
that's amazing. I just have a couple more for you. I want to ask you something. So Doug Peterson, I read it was a story in The Ringer, I believe, earlier this summer, and it was about Doug Peterson, and obviously he was a backup in his NFL playing career, and now is a great coach. And he said that when he was playing Mike Holmgren, his coach at the Packers at the time, he said he asked him to do more off the field, and he said even though you're a backup, like you can still be a leader on this team. So I'm wondering now that you are in a backup role, how do you view that leadership role? Like, is it possible when you are not the starter to be a leader?
Heck yeah. I think it's very important to be a leader. I think we're all leaders on any team, in some sort of way. If you're not a vocal person, leading by example, I think is very important. For me, I always say the backup quarterback, the quarterback room in general, should be speaking the same language.
Mm-hmm.
If Josh goes and talks to a receiver about a route, it should be the same way. I should listen to that and be thinking the same thing. I think we all should talk and see the field as close to the same way as we can. I think there'll be differences, and you'll make decisions. We're going to play a little bit differently in different ways, but I think it's very important to be on the same page, and that I think that carries over not just on the field but off the field. Different conversations you have, different interactions, different ways you can lead. Not necessarily from the front or being a vocal. I think there's a lot of ways to lead.
And I want to ask you one question about Denver, your time there. Obviously, that was your one season that I think it's the one season in your career where you enter as a starter and you end as a starter. And you are QB1 in that position. How different was that for you? Did it change the way, you approached your job at all? What did it feel like that season to know you were the guy?
Yeah, I feel great. That was coming off of the year in Minnesota, playing good football. It was unfortunate the situation in Denver, and we weren't as successful as we needed to be. It's a production business, and to not win as much as we probably should have was tough. Took a lot of things from that year, though, as far as being a franchise guy and the way to lead in that way. There's a lot of pressures from being the guy that's getting paid to be that guy, and so there's a lot of things to learn. That's a huge question. We could spend a whole other podcast unpacking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to end it with this question for you. So, is there a backup quarterback that you think is, your favorite or should be on, the top prototype when you think about what this role means? Like, who would that be for you?
That's another tough question because I don't know of many good backup quarterbacks that see themselves as the backup.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's just it's just hard. Like I said, there's only 32 guys who start every week, and it's a hard job to come by. And there's a lot of really good ones that aren't, a lot of really good ones that are at home, and so I think the good ones know they can play, and I think guys I've been around, there's so many good ones, but they've played too. So like I don't throw anybody into the backup quarterback type realm.
Okay, let me rephrase it this way then. Who is a current one who needs an opportunity? Or like who could break out given the correct circumstance?
Yeah, I don't know that one. I mean, because it changes, depends on when this is coming out too.
Yeah.
A guy I've always looked up to, and that was probably a backup more than he was a starter, was Josh McCown. I know we talked about him earlier.
Yeah.
I think him and his brother Luke, I've gotten to know both of them, and just super, super guys. And I think you could talk to anyone around the NFL, and I would willing to bet so much money that anybody you talk to would just rant and rave about these guys and how they, just how they live their life as family men, teammates, brothers. Just were examples of how to be a godly father, a good father, a godly husband, all these things that, before you even talk about how they played, and when they, their teams needed them, they came out and played really well. But I'd say Josh is one that stands out to me.
That's been Case Keenum on QB2. Case, thank you so much. And I hope to see Josh Allen sliding feet first in the near future again.
I hope that happens as well, but let's leave that at that. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun talking.